you can. All right, so what problems do you have questions on, if any? Which one? Number 2. Yes. Okay, so this one is a little more challenging because of, I think, maybe the word perimeter, maybe because of how some of the wording is. But yeah, let's take a look at number 2. Number 2 says the length of a rectangle is twice the width. So let me erase some of this. Start over here. The length of a rectangle is twice the width. Especially in this type of problem, for where it's talking about a rectangle, I definitely would go ahead and draw a rectangle. Okay? All right, and usually you think of the length as being the longer side. So we're going to call this the length side, and this is going to be the width. Okay, so that means the opposite side is the width. Yeah, right on my desk, close to the edge of the desk. This is length. Okay, so you have 2 lengths, 2 longer sides, and 2 widths. The length of the rectangle is twice the width. Well, how might we represent the width here? How long do we want to say this width is? Right here. Do we know how much it is actually? No. So we might use a variable to represent that. And what do you say? Should we use W? W for width. So if this is W, we know the opposite side is also going to be W. All right? That is the width. Then it says the length is twice the width. Now, twice is going with what number? When you say twice something, twice is big. How much bigger is that? 2 times, right? So twice the width means 2 times the width, and the width we said was W. So if you put that together, that means it is 2W. So the length is 2W. And that means this side up here is 2W. Find the width if the perimeter is 60 centimeters. Perimeter. Now, that might be one word you're not quite as familiar with, or maybe you've forgotten what it is. Anybody remember how we find perimeter? Add up all the sides. So we would add this length of this side, the length of this side, add this length and this length. So in that case, I could say, if I start right here, I could say W plus, I'm just going around the sides here, 2W plus another W plus 2W. Okay? Those are all like terms. So how many W's do I have altogether? 6W. So write an equation that can be used to find the width. My equation is going to be that perimeter, all those sides together, 6W is equal to 60. Okay? 6W is equal to 60. Does everybody understand where I got that from? All right. We are supposed to find the width. The width is just W. So for this equation, what would I need to do to get W by itself? Divide by 6. So divide by 6, divide by 6. 6's simplify out. So W is equal to 10 And we should label it. What did they label it earlier? 60 what? So that means the width should also be 10 centimeters, cms. And if they wanted me to find the length, which they don't, but if they did, the length is 2W, 2 times W, so 2 times 10, that would give me 20. But they didn't ask that, but you still could find it. Okay? All right. Okay, what other questions do you have on this review? What specific questions are you not sure about? What about number 1A? Would anybody like to see that one? Yeah? Okay. It says solve for y. Solve for y. So I want to get this y by itself. So you're asking yourself, what is happening with that y and the other two variables that are right there? What operation is happening there? Multiplication. So to undo that multiplication, I should divide. I want to keep the y, so I'm going to divide by xz. And whatever I do on one side, I have to do on the other side of that equal sign. So I'm going to divide w by xz. The x and the z on the right are going to simplify out. And I'm just left with y equals, and can I do anything? Can I simplify w divided by xz at all? I have no idea what those numbers could be. So I just need to leave it as it is, which is w divided by xz. And that is your answer. Okay? All right. What other questions? Lots of questions on here. Number 4. Number 4. Ah, this is good. They're all good problems. The basketball team is making gift baskets filled with chocolate for a fundraiser. The graph below shows the amount of chocolates remaining based on the number of gift baskets assembled. So letter A says state the x-intercept. So as you look at this graph, what is the x-intercept? I think somebody said it. 10. Yeah, it's right here where the graph crosses the x-axis. So that's 10. And to really get a good representation of what that means, write it as an ordered pair and write down the labels for both your x and y coordinates. So it's 10 gift baskets, and the 0 is 0 chocolates remaining. Okay? So 0 chocolates remaining, 10 gift baskets. So how could I write that knowing that information? What does that x-intercept represent? How could I say that so people know exactly what is happening at that x-intercept? Say it a little bit louder. Well, I don't want to just say the amount of baskets, because how many were assembled? And there were, yeah, exactly. I want to talk specifically about that point. So I would say after 10 baskets were assembled, comma, there were 0 chocolates remaining. Why were there 0 chocolates remaining? They were already all in the basket. So there were no separate individual pieces. They were already put in the baskets. Okay? So that is the x-intercept. What about my y-intercept? 60. So remember, when you're talking about intercepts, you don't need to include the 0. However, because that is my y-intercept, I can write it as an ordered pair. And again, by putting the label here, so it's 0 for my x, which is the number of gift baskets, and 60 would be the number of chocolates. So what would be a good way to explain to someone exactly what's happening at that y-intercept of 60? Lens, what do you think? What could I write here to tell somebody exactly what's happening here at 60? Now remember, you probably want to talk about your X amount first. Do you have an idea? Omar? What do you want to say? What should we write? How many gift baskets do I have at this y-intercept of 60? Anybody? How many do I have? Bear, come on, up here please. Well, the gift baskets is 0. Well, I would say before assembling any baskets, there were 60 chocolates. And we say before because time hasn't even, we haven't done anything yet. So before assembling, so this means it's right at the beginning of the production, before assembling any baskets, which means there are 0, okay, there were 60 chocolates, okay? But talk about it in order of that ordered pair. Talk about the X amount first, then talk about the Y. So for the first one, after 10 baskets were assembled, there were 0. Even with the y-intercept, talk about the x coordinate first before assembling any, or you could say when there were 0 baskets assembled, there were 60 chocolates. Something like that. But always talk about the x amount and then the y. Are you done? Question on that? Okay. Let's go to another one. Anybody have another specific one? Remember, this is your review. What number is that? 9? You can't tell me the number? 9C? 9D? 9D? Okay, so this is an absolute value problem. Absolute value problem. What are we going to undo first? I've got 6 times x minus 2 plus 3 equals negative 1. So this has nothing to do, this is the circumference formula, but I'm not looking for anything about circumference. I just want you to solve for r and get r by itself. So what's happening between r and the other items beside it? They're being what? So that means I should Well, would that leave r by itself? Uh-huh. Yep. All right. So when you are dealing with absolute values, should I distribute here first? No, absolute values. Those are the walls. You cannot distribute. All right. So I'm going to make this like this. Those are walls. You cannot do that. The main thing here is to remember, isolate, make sure that absolute value is by itself, then separate into two cases. All right, so I want to get this x minus 2 isolated. What am I going to do first here to do that? Subtract, what was it? Subtract 3, yes. Remember, this is reverse order of ops. Reverse order of operations. Because you were doing PEMDAS before, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, that was with expressions, but now we are into equations, and equations, you want to undo any addition or subtraction first. So that's why I'm going to subtract 3, and I subtract 3 on the other side of the equal sign. So then I get 6, absolute value x minus 2 is equal to negative 1 minus 3, which is negative 4. Now, some people may be like, negative, but am I isolated yet? No. So technically, you have to keep going until it's isolated and then check and see if it's a negative value, okay? So it's not isolated. What can I do to get it isolated? Divide by 6. Now this is being multiplied, so it's kind of like 6 times something gives me negative 4. So I need to divide by 6 here, and I need to divide by 6 here. 6's simplify out, and I have absolute value of x minus 2 equals negative 4 over 6, but I can simplify that by dividing by 2 over 2, and I would get negative 2 thirds. Now, my absolute value is isolated, okay? This is isolated. It is by itself. It's not being added to. It's not being multiplied by. And that's equal to a negative value. So what does that mean? Yeah, you cannot have. Absolute value is a distance away from 0. This is not a distance, okay? That is a negative amount. So this is no solution because it's equal to that negative amount, okay? That's a good one to go over. All right, what other questions? What other questions? Good morning, Lennon. We are working on the review. Do you still have your review somewhere? Okay. Come on, hit me. What other things do you have questions on, if any? Cristobal, do you have any? What about this number 9? You know, that's a big word problem. Should we try that one? Yeah? So 3 friends, Jacob, Sam, and Juan, went bowling for Juan's birthday. They each paid $2 to rent bowling shoes. Okay, so how many people do we have going for bowling? 3. And they each paid $2 to get shoes. Okay. They also each got the pizza combo special of a pepperoni pizza and drink for $5. Okay. They each got that for $5. Juan's mother paid for the entire bill that cost $43.50. Okay, so that's kind of important. She paid the entire bill, $43.50. How much did Juan's mom have to pay for the bowling? How much did she have to pay for the bowling? First of all, it says A, describe a variable for this problem. What is the part that we don't know? We know how much they paid for shoes, that's $2 each. We know how much they paid for the food, that was $5. What do we not know that we need for this problem? Yeah, for bowling. So how about, what variable should we let that represent? Say it again. T? T for bowling. I was going to say B for bowling, but okay, we can do T. So T is going to be the amount, no, we'll say cost. Cost, that'll be better. The cost to bowl per person. Okay, the cost to bowl per person. Remember, I am collecting these tomorrow, so that should be an easy 10 points. All right, now it says, write an equation that represents the problem above. I know I have 3 people that are doing all of these things, okay? I also know mom paid $43.50 total. Where should I put maybe the total? I always like to start with a total. Where would you put that in an equation probably? Beginning, middle, end? The end. Yeah, the total is how much was paid all together. So I'm going to put $43.50 back over here. And total usually means we're adding everything up, right? All right. What is that total made up of? What all did we pay for? What did we pay for first? What did they talk about? Shoes. All right, so I'm just going to write this. So we got shoes. What else did we pay for? Food. Okay, pizza and the drink, right? We had shoes, we have food, and what else do we have? Okay, that's in with the food. And what else are we trying to find here? The bowling, right? We have to pay for the bowling. So the shoes plus the food plus the bowling is going to be $43.50. All right, shoes. How much did it cost for the shoes? And how many people did we have getting shoes? So I have 3 people times $2 each for the shoes, right? Plus food. How many people ate food? 3. And what was the cost of the food for each person? $5. Okay, so that's 3 times 5 plus 3 people went bowling, right? And how much is the cost to bowl? Which is, but we let it be a variable, T. Okay, so that's my equation. We could simplify it up a little bit. What is 3 times 2? Okay, Lennon, if you have this, why don't you take it out? You don't have it? Grab one from off my desk. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 3 times 5, 15, plus 3t equals 4350. Okay, so I would take this equation, or we could simplify this a little bit more. What is 6 plus 15? Because if I can combine and it's on the same side of the equation, I need to do that. 21. So I could say 21 plus 3t equals $43.50. All right, how would I start to solve for t to get t by itself? Subtract 21. And make sure you're subtracting 21 from the opposite side of the equal sign. 21 cancels out. 3t is equal to, looks like I got 50 cents over here. 3 minus 1 is 2. So I got $22.50, but I need to know how much it costs per person. So I'm going to divide by 3, and t is equal to $7.50? Looks like it. $7.50, which you could take this and find on your calculator. Okay. But do you see how I broke it down? Sometimes it's easier to break it down by words. Okay, that total, that's the shoes, the food, and the bowling. Okay. Let's go down to number 10. We have to identify which one is standard form, which one is slope intercept, and which one is point slope. Who can give me one of those? Who haven't I talked to? EJ, what, number 10, can you give me one of those? Which one is, you pick, I'll let you pick. B, which one do you think that goes with?
Standard. Slope.
Slope intercept form. B, what do you guys think about that? Not quite. Not quite. I think they gave us like a y prime, and this would be an x prime. Point slope. Yes, I like that answer. So that's letter B. Good. Okay. So that leaves these other two. Who's got another one for me? A is slope intercept form. Good. I like that. What's my slope here? What is it? 1/3, 1/3. And my B value, which is the y-intercept, would be -2. Good. And is standard form, is that really C? Yes. Remember, that's AX plus BY equals C. What has to be true for A? Always has to be positive. So make sure your A value is positive, and it is here. Okay. All right. What else? Whoops. Ooh, what about number 7? Change that to standard form. What form is it in right now? Slope intercept form. Right now, it's in slope intercept. Here's your slope, here's your intercept. Okay. Slope intercept. That's what it is right now. We need to change that to standard form. What would I need to do to change that to standard form? I got a fraction in there. We don't like working with fractions. So what would I do? Multiply everything by what? Yeah. Whatever is in that denominator right here, you want to take that and multiply that number on both sides to every term in that equation. So I'll start on the left. 9 times y is 9y equals this 9 and this 9 in this first term on the right. They're going to simplify out, and what I have left is just 8x. And then I do have to distribute the 9 with -2, And that gives you negative 18. Oh, I got rid of that fraction. Okay, so is that standard form? Is that standard form? AX plus BY equals C. What do I need to do? No, I don't want to go back to slope-intercept. And that's what some people will do. They'll like divide by 9 and you'll get right back to this answer. Yeah, I need to move this term over here by subtracting. Okay? So subtract 8x, subtract 8x. 8x's cancel out. Can I combine these two? No, that's an x term and a y term. I want the x term to be first. Remember, x comes before y in the alphabet, so that is negative 8x. That is a positive 9y equals negative 18. Ah, yes, ax plus by equals c. So we're good, right? No, we need to. Yeah, you cannot have a negative value there. Remember, that has to be positive. So what should I do? Multiply everything by negative 1. Well, isn't that going to change everything? Well, yeah, but it just changes the sign. So negative times negative is positive 8x. Negative times positive is negative 9y. And that is equal to negative times negative, which is a positive. Now it's in ax plus by equals c form. Any other questions? Zoom back out. Any other questions? We will give you the formulas. They are not written on the test, but I will have them up here on the Promethean board. We will not name them, okay? We'll just say, it'll just have y equals mx plus b. It will have ax plus by equals c. And it will have y minus y prime equals x times quantity y minus y prime equals m times quantity x minus x prime. Okay? But we won't say which one is which. You have to know that. So you have to know if it says change to standard form, which one is standard form that you're trying to change it to. Okay? Anything else? Graphing inequalities. What's the big deal with graphing inequalities? There's a couple things. What's the tricky things about graphing inequalities? Yeah. Say it again. Which part you shade. Okay. Well, we're not, this is like not on a coordinate graph, but just like a number line here. But you're right, whether you shade above or below, but we're not, I don't think, do we have? Gosh, we don't have one of those, do we? Okay. So which part you have to shade? Also, what kind of line? How do you know with an inequality what kind of line? What if I had, so here's our inequalities. We have is less than, is greater than or equal to, is less than or equal to. Okay? Which of these, since we're looking at problem number 3 would have an open circle? Which of these would have an open circle? B, yes. I was thinking more over here, so 1 and 2, that would be an open circle. Open circle. And yes, this one is going to have an open circle. Okay, which means these would be closed. And it's because of this equal sign right there. So this one is also going to be closed. Okay? Any last questions? Okay. Well, I think we're, I guess, at a stopping point then. Like I said, I will upload the answers and the work. I will probably put it on today's date. I'll probably put it in the important information about the formulas, all of that, okay? And I will look for you to pass in these reviews tomorrow. Anybody have any homework to give me? Any homework to give me? I am missing a lot of homework 3. When is everything due? Has to be tomorrow, okay? So we're talking review, we're talking homeworks 1, 2, and 3. If you did not get me your bell work, I need your bell work, okay? All right. How are you guys feeling about tomorrow's test? Pretty good? I hope pretty good. You can always just look over your notes too. Okay. Oh wait, this is September 9th. Heaven forbid we have the wrong date. All right. So don't take this test or quiz lightly, okay?